You know, I wasn't initially planning on doing a video on this, because if I made a fully dedicated video to a topic every time I had an unpopular Doctor Who opinion, I'd never have time to eat or sleep, so I would be dead. But regardless, given the number of companions there have been over the years, it's to be expected that some will be more popular than others. However, I feel like Series 14's main companion, Ruby Sunday, gets a particular level of flack that I don't agree is necessary, and she seems to be commonly regarded as one of the worst companions in the show, which seems very unfair to me. And with Lucky Day being the newest Doctor Who episode at the time of writing, and with it being seemingly confirmed that Ruby will return in this year's series finale, I thought there was no better time than now to take a look and see if Ruby Sunday is in fact underrated. I should point out that at the time of recording, Lucky Day is no longer the latest episode of Doctor Who, it's Wishworld, and at the minute, Reality War comes out tomorrow. Because I was a little bit behind on making this video because I've been working on so many lately. I'm hoping that this video will be out in time for the Reality War, but I'm not making any promises. So, let's get started. One of the most commonly criticised aspects of Ruby's character is her supposed lack of identity. People complain that there just isn't anything to her as a person and that you don't really know who she actually is, which takes away her relatability. I've often heard people say that they don't know how she would react in a dangerous scenario and how she would deal with the situation at hand. But I don't agree with this in the slightest. Even if we take Lucky Day out of the equation, since it has only just come out to be fair, there is literally an entire episode in Series 14 that shows you definitively how she would behave when something strange is happening to her and she doesn't have the Doctor as a backup. Even if you want to make the argument that this is in an alternate timeline that eventually got reversed, that doesn't change what you've learnt about Ruby over the course of the episode. She would still act that way and do all of those same things if that scenario presented itself to her. And considering that 73 Hours is one of the only episodes of Series 14 that people actually like, I find it strange that Ruby herself is so hated. It's definitely a big part of why audiences feel such a disconnect with Ruby, which to be fair I can completely understand. I also wish that each series had more than 8 episodes, but just because the amount of character we get to see with Ruby is more limited than what we would have gotten during the first Russell T Davies era, that doesn't mean it isn't there. One thing, for example, that I like about Ruby that sets her apart from a lot of other companions is that the Doctor never outright tells her that he owns a time machine, but because of little hints here and there throughout the episode, she is able to piece it together and figure it out, showing that she's clever enough to put 2 and 2 together, which is actually quite an interesting choice of characterisation and not something that we see that often. Additionally, in Space Babies, we see something similar when Ruby figures out that they can save Eric by drawing attention to themselves instead. Scenes like this show that she is very good at thinking fast under pressure, and also that she's very brave for someone so young, that she will immediately put herself in the line of fire to save an innocent without a second thought, regardless of how scared she initially is of the threat at large. And this is a character trait that we see multiple times throughout the series. She's an intelligent character who's quick and strategic, and like I said, she works well under pressure, able to come up with good plans completely on the fly. So I really don't agree with this criticism that we don't know who Ruby is as a person, since I think Series 14, short as it is, gives you much more to go off than people might claim. I mean, literally in her first episode, The Church on Ruby Road, there is a 4-minute long scene showing how Ruby not being there would impact the lives of those around her, really giving you a sense of just how important she is and how she's made her family lives so much better and full of more life and energy. And this comes at the perfect time, as it's a really smart way of writing, so that just before the companion decides to start travelling with the Doctor, you learn how she shaped everyone else's lives and just how much joy she's brought to them all, presenting a very strong connection to her, so that you feel ready to see what she brings to the series ahead. thing people take issue with when it comes to Ruby is her relationship with the Doctor, and that they very rarely argue or fall out about anything. Admittedly, the tension and conflict in their relationship is extremely minimal, and whilst I enjoy a good argument scene between the Doctor and their companion, it's not something that I insist on taking place within the episodes, and whilst it can be a good method of character development, I don't think that not including it takes anything away from the development. I think if it were like this every single series, then yes, that would get a bit boring, but if it's something that gets switched up every now and again, as we're currently seeing with Belinda, then I can get on board with it easily enough. I get that people wanted more from their relationship than just having them be best friends going on adventures together, but considering Series 14 was introducing new viewers to the show and acted as a jumping on point, I think that's fair enough. Obviously, the fact that it's a jumping on point doesn't mean there can't be more drama in their relationship, but I think it's understandable that they wanted to start off with something a bit more simple and straightforward. I think people's disappointment at the lack of arguing between the two prevents people from being able to enjoy the friendship they have properly, which is a shame because the chemistry between these two, both characters and actor and actress, is absolutely excellent. One of the reasons I defend Space Babies as much as I do is just because I enjoy watching it, because seeing the way that they bounce off each other so flawlessly is so entertaining and satisfying to watch. I don't think Space Babies is an amazing episode or anything. I don't think the story is brilliant, and I think some parts of it do take the goofiness too far, but I enjoy the experience because it's so fun watching 15 and Ruby just enjoying travelling together. Scenes like this and their first scene in the Devil's Court are a key part of why I love this duo so much, because you get to see them just having fun travelling together, which is really something the show should focus on more, as it's refreshing to see and it makes the characters feel more like real people. And on the topic of 15 and Ruby just having fun travelling together, I think Ruby is actually very refreshing after the last few companions, since she is just really good friends with the Doctor. There's no romance between the two, no will they won't they nonsense, no we are being brought together by a force of destiny from beyond the stars that no one can understand. No nothing. They're just best friends travelling together, which is exactly what I love so much about not just this duo, but also my favourite TARDIS duo of all time, Tennant Donna. Because after losing Rose, with whom the Doctor was obviously in love, and pushing away Martha, who had an unreciprocated crush on him, he set out the rules to Donna very clearly before they started travelling together, that they were friends and nothing more, which is one of the many things about that duo that worked so well. And here 15 and Ruby are with that same thing, which I just love for them. I also want to point out that Ruby has my favourite theme of any companion. It's such a wonderful piece of music that matches her character so well and is a key part of why this scene in The Devil's Court is so brilliant. It's also worth mentioning that people were less than satisfied with Empire of Death's grand reveal that Ruby's mother isn't anyone special or important, and that she is just a normal person with a normal life. But I actually love that about it. Like I said in the previous section, I found Ruby to be a breath of fresh air after so many "Oh, I love you, Doctor, fuck off, I don't care." And even what they tried doing in the Robot Revolution with all the "we are being connected by some mysterious force from across the galaxy," and don't even get me started on this. It was so nice to have a companion who was nothing more than a normal, everyday, relatable person, and I feel like the reveal of Ruby's mother ties back to her own character really nicely in that regard. Something that isn't as big and dramatic and insane as perhaps what we're used to, because the Doctor is completely right. As humans, we do have a tendency to overthink things and rate them with more significance than they actually hold. And if you're a Doctor Who fan, then you especially are guilty of this. I know this isn't one of the most exciting reveals in the world, but I think it was the best one for Ruby's character. And let's be honest, the scene where she meets her mother for the first time properly is absolutely amazing. Both actresses are nailing it here. Murray Gold is performing his heart out, and overall it's just a brilliantly emotional scene. I also love seeing the Doctor's reaction to this, seeing a reunion that he knows he should be having with Susan but hasn't gone to have. It's incredible. How did this turn into an Empire of Death review? In conclusion, Ruby Sunday is a significantly better character than anyone gives her credit for. She's by no means the best companion ever, but she's severely underrated, and despite not being my absolute favourite, she's definitely in my top 10. At least with regards to New Who anyway, because if I did a top 10 that took Classic Who and New Who companions into consideration, that would take insanely long to make. Also, Classic Who has so many brilliant companions. If I were to go through the rest of the New Who ones though, I'd say Rose is good in Series 1, but I don't like her in Series 2. And no, this has nothing to do with her being in love with the Doctor. I just find her extremely cringe and cannot get on board with her at all. Martha is great, severely underrated. Donna is the best. Wilfred is the second best after Donna. Amy is bad in Series 5, but great in Series 6. And in Series 7 she's just there. This man is absolutely goated and I will not accept otherwise. Clara is a bitch and a complete waste of Jenna Coleman's incredible talent. Bill is actually very, very good. Nardole is fine, I guess, but he's a bit cringe sometimes. I don't really care about any of the Chibnall ones except for Graham because he's played by Bradley Walsh, and Dan because, well, he was actually quite good. I like Dan. Belinda so far has been pretty great also. But yeah, that's all for now. How do you feel about Ruby as a character? Do you like her? Do you hate her? Do you agree with me, or do you think she deserves all the flack she gets? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.